Hey, what's your full name? What's your real name? I'm from Bo. You know what they say about Bo? Bo, you don't know Oh, you can do better than that. Good evening.
Good evening.
It is a good evening. We have our health and we have decent weather and we are gathered here to improve our district, and so that does make it a good evening. We begin every board meeting with an act of reverence, but I'd like for us to just take a moment to do what I know you've already done. Take some time to think about those folks in Louisiana, Puerto Rico, Texas, and Florida. They are clearly meeting some challenges, and we do what we can here in Rochester to assist them, including an effort that the board spearheaded, Hope for Houston. But that isn't enough. And you have to figure it out in your own way how you can make a difference. And without getting preachy about it, I think we can all sort of preach. Again, I've been given permission to preach. Although our lawyers are looking at me like, be careful, Van. I can tell you, I can ask you that you join us in just a moment or two of silence and pray to your God, pray to whoever it is that you think can make a difference in the lives of those folks, because they surely need our help. Thank you. Now it's this time that we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and as we do that, we try as a board to let our young people lead us. That's a great idea. Genesis, last name, help me out here again?
Silva.
Silva. Genesis Silva is our new student rep. Let's give her a round of applause. Make her feel welcome. Ms. Silva is a senior, and we're going to ask her, it was a great idea, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. She's new, she's new. First time here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Silva. We have introduced, as is the tendency of this board, to come up with new ways to recognize people who have made a difference in our community. Just earlier today, we saw the church, Pastor Simmons' church, and other folks gather and recognize young people who had made a difference. We have the Yes We Can Award, which we recognize on a monthly basis groups or organizations that make a difference. But today we thought we would try something different and add a new award or recognition to our smorgasbord of recognition, and that is the Hometown Heroes Award. And we have asked, the board has asked Commissioner Malik Evans to present the very first Hometown Heroes Award. And as he takes the podium, I want you all to know the idea behind this award was to recognize graduates of the Rochester City School District who we can be proud of, who have, you can say amen to that, all right? Who have made a difference in our community. That they didn't just graduate and get it for themselves, but they got it for themselves and their family and the community. In that regard, they are special heroes to us. And we wanted to begin to recognize on a periodic basis those people. So Malik Evans, Commissioner Evans, is given the honor by the Board of Education to present our very first Hometown Heroes Award. And by the way, he's one of our hometown heroes too.
There we go. Wilson, no, I'm kidding. But let me just say, this is great that we're recognizing first, because we're going to recognize, and I'm waiting for, we got a video for our hometown hero before I bring him up to the podium. Do we have, you have video? But before you cue up the video, just let me say, let's watch this video first. Mr. Ernest Flagler, who we're going to recognize, he probably feels like he's at the Academy Awards. but this is what happens when you're young and you retire. So I want to cue up this video, and then I'm going to go up to the podium to present the award. So let's start with the video. And commissioners, if you can join me down on the podium for our colleague, Mr. Flagler.
Well, I first went to 33 school, and then I went to number 12 school, and then I went to Monroe, and then I graduated in '97 out of East High. We had a 2-year program called the Firefighter Trainee Program, and at the time I was playing football, and I was recruited by the first graduating class of that program. And I remember being in the locker room and got done playing, and I just thought I was an NFL player. I thought I was a pro. And then they asked me to just come and listen to an assembly. So I remember going to the assembly, and I said, you know what, this seemed kind of interesting. And I took a shot at going into the program. And in the beginning, it was a 12-week program, and you're in 10th grade. And then 11th and 12th grade, we was in the program. And that's where we learned how to become firefighters and, you know, did a lot of hands-on. After we did the, in our 12th grade year, we had a civil service test, and I passed it with a 98. And when I passed it, after we graduated, we worked a little bit for the city, but we graduated in June, and in September I went right into the fire academy. And then after the fire academy, I got into the firehouse. I worked out of Engine 5 on Lau and Child Street for a few years, for like 8 years. Then I went over to Engine 3 over on Mount Reed and Emerson. And then I went into the crew, which is the Community Relations Department. And then I became one of the fire marshals. And then I went back into community outreach. And then I retired at the age of 39. Well, I've been on the legislature now for 3 years. I am also the assistant minority leader of the Monroe County Legislature. And what we do, we oversee a $1.2 billion budget. and we deal with anything from social services to parks in the whole Monroe County. My district is in the city, and it borderlines from Clifford and Avenue D all the way to a street called Navarre and Arundequoit, and then it borderline Culver Road all the way to Lake Avenue. So within my district, I have the Rose Garden, I have the zoo, I have many sites in my district, which is, you know, which a lot of people is recognizing and go to themselves. The job is very rewarding, and it is sometimes very disappointing when you can't get certain rules passed due to the fact that we are in the minority. But we fight for our constituency, and we learn how to cross the aisle to get things done when we need to get it done. And sometimes they go with us and sometimes they don't. You know, God placed some amazing teachers in my life and house administrators. And I remember I was at Monroe and I had Mr. Smith. I remember I was a little knucklehead at that time. I would run around getting into fights and getting suspended. And they put us in this class. And it was nothing but all the bad kids in this class. And what they did, they put us together with Mr. Smith. And what we did was we worked helping teachers out. They gave us these little jobs to do throughout the day, as long as we kept our work and everything intact. And I remember one time we was acting up in the classroom. And he said to me this, he said, listen, you gotta love yourself before you can expect anyone else to love you. Stop ruining your life. And that touched me because I was like, wow, I do love myself. I ain't letting nobody disrespect me and nothing like that. But then he was like, it ain't even about that. You know, you have to finish school. So when he said that, it touched me and I started changing the way I was doing things. And that was in Monroe. I was in the 8th grade. I remember it like it was yesterday. And then I went over to East and I got into East High School, and we had this little, like a little brawl in the computer room. And I thought I got away with it. Mr. Santangelo, he called me to his office and told him he was my house administrator. And he said, Ernest, you from Monroe? I said, yeah, I'm from Monroe. He said, do you want to go back? And I said, no. He said, you get in another fight here, I will be sending you right back to Monroe. And that changed me, because at the end of the day, I didn't want to go backwards. No one want to wake up and not go forward. And you know, as I continued to go on through my years in high school, he was always there. And so God had blessed me with folks from middle school to high school who was always there like a father figure. Even though I had a father, they was that father when my father wasn't around. So I mean, it was an amazing experience for me. Well, one thing I would say to the students is that nothing worth having come easy. Here ago, I was a young man whose father was taken out of the home because of drugs, and you know, I had a child at 16 years old. I ran in gangs, and you know, God turned my life around, and I worked hard to make a living, to make myself successful. So, you know, I know how it feels to struggle, to be in a home of a single mother, to be in a home when it's just you and your sisters. They're trying to just make sure we got clothes to wear and what we're gonna eat the next week was not uncommon in our household. Being a father at the age of 16, never leaving my daughter's side, raising her like a man's supposed to have done. And you know, worked hard to become successful so that I can be a role model, not just for my children, but for many other children in the district and my kids' friends who may not even be in the district sometimes, but be that big role model that someone could look up to and show you that you can make it in spite of what your circumstances are. So nothing worth having come easy. And one more thing is, if you're not at the table, then you're the dish.
I know I don't want to be the dish. I want to be eating the dish. And I want to get out of this meeting early tonight, Van, so I can go home and eat some chicken wings as a dish. But, you know, when we instituted this Hometown Heroes Award, I thought it was important for us to start off honoring somebody in a major way, and I'm glad we're able to do that tonight with Ernest Flagler. As you know, this award, we're doing this for Ernest. Let me have Ernest come on up, and Kia too, Kia, his wife. Because we're giving this to, and board members, if you can come up, while I just read a little bit about, if I can just read a little bit about Ernest. We're giving this to an outstanding alumnus of the district. And when we were thinking about this award, I knew that Van was gonna start this Hometown Heroes Award, and I remember running into Kia Flagler at REOC, and she said, Ernest is retiring. I said, wait a minute, Ernest, Ernest is a little bit older than me, but I said, retiring? And then they said, yeah, you'll need 20 years in the fire department. You can retire and do pretty well. And I said, wow. And he went through the Rochester City School District. So I said, kids, students, the district needs to know that everyone is not all bad and that we got somebody in this community that can retire at 39 years old, and we need to be able to showcase that. The other thing I wanted to be able to showcase is the Firefighters Explorers. We still have that program. We still have that. Bo must not be from the hood. The Firefighters Explorers program that is still going strong, and Ernest will be the first person to go all the way through that program and retire. So I thought it was important that we honor him. So Mr. Flagler, the Honorable Ernest Flagler, was one of the first African Americans to graduate from the firefighter training program at East High School, then joining the Rochester City Fire Department, as you heard in the video, and rising through the ranks to become fire marshal. He served in the department for over 20 years. The firefighting trainee program marked the beginning of Ernest Flagler's long-term commitment to community service, and since then, in addition, not just serving in the fire department, he went on to serve in a multitude of capacities. You know, he is a legislator. He was founder of of Rochester Parents United. I know, because I fought with Rochester Parents United when they were demanding changes in the district, which was a great organization that advocated for parents. He was former president of 14621 Community Association, a Boy Scout troop leader, and is also a church elder. And as a Monroe County legislator, we know that he represents the 29th District, which includes some of the most impoverished neighborhoods in the city. He was elected in 2014 and became Assistant Democratic Leader in 2016. The Honorable Ernest Flagler is ranking minority member of the Planning Economic Development Committee and a member of the Recreation and Education Committee. He's the father of 8 children and a staunch advocate for parental empowerment. Mr. Flagler, as you know, founded the Parent United in 2011 to strengthen parent influence in the educational systems by focusing on enhanced accountability and choice. So I am honored that we are able to give this first Hometown Heroes Award to the Honorable Ernest Flagler.
I let my wife hold it. I wasn't prepared to give words. I was told to stand up here and smile and take pictures and everything. But, you know, I just first off want to give honor to God, who's definitely the head of my life, and to my wife and my family, and to my parents who was in the back of the room. My mom's still there, everybody. She always been there, and she's still here supporting her son. And, you know, I love her. And my stepfather, Sam Elam, you know, let's just give him a hand because he is amazing. You know, I'd like to thank Commissioner Evans for choosing me for this award because, you know, a lot of folks would like to have their flowers while they're living. And I was minding my own business like always. And then he said, you know, we want to recognize you. And I felt honored to get that recognition because going in the fire department at the age of 19 was not an easy thing. You know, the things we saw and the things that we encountered was, we can only write it, you only can imagine it. And I remember standing up here, me and Lawrence Brumfield, some years ago when Commissioner Evans and Commissioner Cruz and Commissioner Powell, they were still all on the board, and we were fighting to keep the program. And we was able to successfully keep that program because we see the impact and the influence that a program such as the firefighter trainee program can have on the life of someone who never really had that true opportunity or that equal opportunity to get a career such as ours. And so I really thank God for each and every one of y'all. And you know, one thing about the city school district, I always say we're very rich in programs. And if our youth, if we can just advertise that a little more, our youth get in those programs, they could be retiring at 39 like me. Now, God is good. Again, God guided all my footsteps, but he guides their footsteps to try to put programs in place so that our youth can be successful and have a living wage once they retire from whatever field they decide to go into. So I thank you all. May God bless you, love you all, and we'll see you on the streets.
Ernest's family, come on up. Sean, you're part of his
family. You finish shaking hands, man. You got to finish shaking hands. Oh, that's okay. Come on, start making your way up. Come on up. You got to have half Bobby in the picture. Thank you. Thank you. Keep Ernest
As Ernest and his family make their way back to the seats, and as we all begin the substantive part of our meeting, let me just remind you, and for those of you who didn't notice, the whole idea behind this, and Ernest will tell you, is that if you looked at that video, and let's thank our communications crew, they did a great job with that video. Donald and his team, a great job. That's a wonderful video. But Ernest will say amen to this. What you saw in that video and what you saw up here just a few moments ago in his comments was even heroes have heroes. You see that? When he was talking, in the video, he was talking about the teachers. Can I get an amen to that? And administrators that got him on the track of heroship. Right? And then as he spoke today, he talked about his mom and his stepmother. And of course, I want to tell Ernest and his wife, I'm a big Facebook person. And I'm going to tell you why Ernest is my personal hero, and I know you all may share this. I watch that brother on Facebook. That is a family man right there. On Facebook, he talks about his family and his wife. And let me tell you something. Any good hero, what's that Bette Midler song says, right? The wind. I know by looking at his Facebook page, if it were not for his wife, he would not be the hero that he is today. And I'm sure Ernest will tell you, she is his hero. So let's give the Ernest Flagler's family a round of applause. We really love you. God bless. All right, now I'm running back to my seat, losing a few calories, I hope. Eat more cookies, that's right. All right, so now we have to go to approval of the minutes. We have business minutes from August 24th. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
Moved.
Been moved by Commissioner Evans, seconded by Commissioner Hallmark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, next item on the agenda is speakers addressing an issue on the agenda. And we have no speakers addressing an item on the agenda, but we do have one speaker addressing an item that is not on the agenda, and that would be Richard Cotting. Is Mr. Cotting here? I see a gentleman get up there in the back. As he's making his way up front, I'm reminded to tell you all that we have the fire marshal regulates how we conduct our meetings, and the fire marshal's office would have me tell you that there are exit signs there. If there should be something that should happen, make your way through the exit signs, then go to the elevators. There are signs that will tell you how to get out of the building safely. You are not to take the elevators. And if you should have to go to the bathroom, don't hesitate to get up. We're a family here. We understand things happen. There are bathrooms, I think, to your right, and somebody can probably tell you where they are. And the other thing is, on our speakers list, we only have one. The board wants to hear from everybody, and so in traditional meetings, we set time limits. I think the limit here is 3 minutes. It's not that we don't want to hear more from people. There are plenty of opportunities to speak to board members, but we want to make sure we respect other people's times. So, Mr. Cotting, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Rich Cotting,
And I'm a member of the Metro Justice Education Committee. I just want to congratulate the board members for their school year and wish them all the best on a good 2017-28 school year. We at Education Committee are not only interested in the topic that's going to be discussed tonight, but also the topic of community schools. And we hope, and I'm sure the board will, encourage the board to budget funds for the existing community schools and make plans to expand this concept to even more city schools. I visited one of the schools, School 45, last year at an open house, and I was impressed with the leadership and the positive atmosphere of the staff and students. I was especially interested in the after-school programs sponsored by the Center for Youth. That's part of this community school program, is to involve other agencies in the educational process. And the plan for adult ed programs for this school year of 2017-2018. So hopefully the board will look at these programs, consider providing transportation. I know that's one issue that was a concern, and funds for these important programs for now and for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Having no further speakers, we'll next move on to our superintendent's report. Dr. Sean Nelms is here from East High School EPO.
Good evening, commissioners and community. I have a brief report, Malik, tonight, and just want to give an update. Beginning of school got off to a great start. This is probably the smoothest opening we've had thus far. It was one of our security officers, who's also an East graduate, said it felt like we never skipped a beat over the summer. I think that's the ultimate compliment you can have as an opening of school, is when kids come in and get acclimated quickly, and the adults start the year teaching and not going over a bunch of rules and routines. A few updates for the community. We have the diagnostic tool review this upcoming next week, October 3rd through the 5th. We sent a group of administrators to be formally trained this past weekend. We figured if we're going to have these reviewers coming in, we should have a group of reviewers ourselves. And so these individuals will be trained on how to do reviews, and so that we can have a better understanding what the state expects, since they've changed the state review model this year. We also spent the last 2 days with turnkey net training to staff and administrators, so they understand what the review will entail and how to best prepare for it. The indicator that will be reviewed, there are a series of indicators that are selected by the state, and we also have opportunity to select some and have a discussion around their use and in evaluating how we are performing as a school. And so you'll see that our preliminary results for review, we passed with flying colors in the lower school, and at upper school, there were 2 indicators that we're in discussion with the state over. One is our dropout rate, and the other is attendance. We chose to do some things with cleaning our books this year that may have hurt us, but not permanently. And I really thank the commissioner, who I spoke with her team this past Saturday when I was in Saratoga at a conference, and they truly understand the complexities in trying to turn around a school. And when you're trying to correct the books in ways that reflect the kids that are sitting there, you will get dinged at least for 1 year. So we chose to take the hit this year as opposed to next year. But I'm very happy that the commissioner has had an open window, open line of communication with us, so that we can further clarify and support future receivers or future schools who are in the turnaround initiative. So we're really excited about that. Some of the data that we're tracking, I'm not going to go through these data. You have them in front of you. It's just this is an example of some of the data that we're tracking. So at our lower school, we're continuing to look at the performance in ELA and math. The 2014-15 school year reflects on the time before the EPO, and 15-16 and 16-17 are the first 2 years. And so we're steady tracking that to see how those kids progress through the system. Also, the grades 9 and 10 promotion. As you know, research is pretty clear that students who do not move from grades 9 to grade 10 with their cohort are more than likely to drop out than they are to graduate. And so we're closely tracking that. And the way our schedule is created, the kids can make up for that in their sophomore year. So they have 2 years to really get the required credits and the right courses that they need. And it's really, we've already seen an impact in our graduation rates for this upcoming school year. And then the bottom chart there is just the reading proficiency that we're using that shows that our kids are moving from that below basic level and gradually moving up towards grade level performance, and we're excited about that as well. Some other data that we're tracking are our kids who score 80s or 90s on Regents exams. Those are some college career readiness targets. And so we have a bunch of data tracking for that and trying to align those kids who are being successful with the teachers that they had that year, with the curriculum that they use to get those type of results. And so you'll see that this is not an indication that we've reached the ultimate goal, but that we're starting to continue to track these things because 80s and 90s matter, especially for college entrance and scholarship opportunities. And then you'll see a bunch of other indicators too. Our students are now earning their biliteracy program, which means these kids can leave with a different credential by mastering a language. And also they have their CTE endorsement and programs that we overhauled the last 2 years. Our graduation rate, as I indicated, the state, we are working with the state to track our rates, all schools, but our rates in two different ways. One is a total cohort, which means all the students who enters that grade level their freshman year. But for us, we're saying, what about the kids who've attended 25 days or more? Can we track those too? So it would be your total cohort and then the actual kids that we've engaged since we've been there. And you'll see quite the difference between the cohort that represents all kids, including those kids who dropped out before we began, and those kids who've been here for at least 25 days. That's 25 days over 2 years, not 25 days per year, so 25 days or more. And so we're starting to track that data too to see the impact that we're having on the kids that we've been able to influence and versus the total cohort, and trying to make sure that we prevent that for those kids moving up through the lower school so that those numbers are really closely aligned. Very excited, last week we had our first major family and community engagement event. We had former LA Lakers star Byron Scott, an NFL and NBA coach, come to East last Friday, as well as the former CEO of Deer Park, who just sold one of his companies for $1 billion. We had a roundtable discussion, myself and Tariq Spence from WDKX moderated the discussion for the community around leadership and the importance of building team and coherence in large and small organizations. That was a really well-attended event, and it was really, it was great to have him speak one-on-one and do autographs, and everybody who attended received a free book, and that was sponsored by the University of Rochester. I do have some extra books if any of the board members want one. But it was an incredible event, and it was great to speak to an NBA legend as well as one of the top CEOs in the country. And today, our culinary program put on I wouldn't say impromptu, but they quickly put together a relief effort fund for for those who are in Puerto Rico. We have a large number of students from Puerto Rico, from other Spanish-speaking countries. Well, it's a territory, but and it was incredible. It was incredible to watch the students and the adults and community members come in and buy dinners or lunch on that behalf, and all the proceeds went to the relief fund. And we continue to work with Ibero and some of our other partners to support our families here, but also those who have lost loved ones in Puerto Rico or have yet to be able to communicate with them. There's a lot of students who are in pain right now, a lot of kids in our school who are worried and stressed about their families in Puerto Rico, and so we're trying to continue to support them and make sure that they're supported through our social work and counseling offices in school. But there are a lot of kids in pain right now, and it's something that we have to continue to monitor and pay attention to. And on a positive note, our homecoming event is this week. It was October 7th, next Saturday. We take on Monroe, and so I don't know who Flagler's going to cheer for since he went to both schools. But it starts with a parade. We have done this for 2 years now. The city has allowed us to block off parts of Main, East, and Culver, and the kids walk, and there's a bunch of fanfare, and then it ends with a game that'll start at around 1 o'clock, I believe. So you're all welcome to attend.
Which side do we sit on, the Monroe side or the east side?
There's actually one side. That's the east side. No, we support all our youth, all our youth, right? No, we used to hope to get a really good turnout. It should be a beautiful day, and the kids are looking forward to it.
And where does the parade start?
It starts on Ohio Street. So it starts Ohio Street, then goes up Main, and then down Culver, and they walk into the stadium. There's a step team, the marching band, the community comes out, some of the local businesses march. It's a pretty cool event. Please come.
Any questions, other questions for?
No, just let me say. I was at the Congressional Black Caucus, so I missed Byron Scott. I wish I was there because I would have taken him on one-on-one and showed him my skills. But, but I would like a copy of the book because I heard that it was really good. So if you get one to me, that'd be great. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments, Commissioner Powell?
Yeah, on the one slide you spoke of the college-ready scores on the Regents exam, 112 scored 80 or higher. Am I correct? If I turn the slide, I see the total cohort, 336. Is that the denominator?
No, great question. That's grades 10 through 12. So kids who took it that year in high school. So it could be juniors, sophomores, or juniors. And so,
so we don't know the denominator.
Right. And so that's why I said it's not a metric that I want to say we overly celebrate, but we're starting to track those and monitor that. And every student who takes the Regents are encouraged to retake it until they get an 80. And we have a lot of students who have taken some exams 2 and 3 times already to get the 80.
Thank you.
Yep.
You know, somebody once said, what gets measured gets done. And what we can appreciate about what you all are doing there at East is you're measuring important indicators. And that, I'm convinced, and I think other people are, I think you guys are because you're doing it, that will yield better results. So thank you for that effort. Thank you for that presentation. And now we have the pleasure of hearing from Deputy Superintendent Lawrence Wright.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd heard that the superintendent likes to present from up there, but I felt more comfortable presenting from down here. This feels more natural to me.
All right, all right.
So don't tell her that I did that, okay? Tell her that I just presented from the seat. My name is Lawrence Bo Wright, and I'm here to give a path forward update. My disclaimer is that this is a fluid process that is grounded in design thinking. So we have to get used to living in beta, so to speak, testing ideas, listening, seeing how they work, and then learning. So there's a distinct possibility that you may have some questions tonight that I won't necessarily be able to answer because of the way that the process is structured and because of where we are in it. But nevertheless, I will do my best and try to give you a clear picture of where we are at this point. As most of you are aware, Path Forward is a broad-based community engagement initiative which we believe has the potential to shape education in Rochester City School District for years to come. We've been in the process of working through what we call Phase 1, which is very technical, a lot of data gathering, looking at things like enrollment projections and demographic data, seat capacity, and what our needs as far as special education and English language learner programs go in the future. We are in the process of transitioning into what we call Phase 2, which is neighborhood, community, and school engagement. So we're moving toward closing out Phase 1, but just starting the engagement process. So you've tasked us with analyzing enrollment trends, demographics, amongst other things, looking at managed choice, regional versus neighborhood schools. And again, this is quantitative, technical work, but the real power, what we feel provides us with the most opportunity is the community engagement piece. So we're very excited about that. Going out, speaking with parents, speaking with students about what we all want the next 10 years in Rochester City School District to look like as far as education goes. And so we're planning with our values in mind. Erica, looking at improving equity, relationships, innovation, coherence, and accountability. And as I said before, we are in the process of working through Phase 1, which is data gathering, moving into Phase 2, which is broad-based community engagement, getting out there. And then in Phase 3, this winter, we're going to be bringing you path forward options and letting you look and hear from the community, hear what they had to say, and then you'll be able to make an informed decision later on this winter. When we move into Phase 4, that's going to be about the beginnings of implementation and seeing what we need to do to take next steps. So as far as our community or public engagement, it's about sharing ideas and, again, building the pathway together. So we're looking at specific areas such as high school redesign. What changes are we going to need to make in our high school to prepare students for 21st century learning? So we're looking at not only the physical space and the way that our classrooms need to be set up, but we're also looking at what we need to do as far as modifying our instructional programs and the opportunities that we provide to our students to connect them to college and career. We had a gentleman that spoke about the power of community schools, and I think that's something that we all believe in, looking at supporting the whole child, opening our schools up before and after school, inviting the community in, looking at how we partner with our community to support kids. So as part of the Path Forward process, that's something that we're digging into deeply as far as how we improve those schools that are already designated as community schools, but then also looking at opportunities to support more within our district. We are looking at improving the quality and coherence of services pertaining to special education and bilingual education and what the implications are going to be 5 and 10 years down the road. And then we're also looking at ideas around neighborhood schools, feeder patterns, the possibility of citywide magnet and specialty schools, and then looking at opportunities to bring the community into our classrooms. So doing a lot more with project-based learning and what we call problem-based learning. So giving our students the opportunities to solve real problems in our community. We have our first major engagement opportunity tomorrow, and it is going to be at the School of the Arts. It is for high school students. We are psyched. We have about 450 students that are registered. We planned on about 350. So that's a good problem to have, though. And you know, I want to give a lot of credit to our team. There are so many people in this room that made this event possible. This is you know, when you're planning an engagement with so many moving parts for over 450 students, you know, typically this would be something that takes 6, 7, 8 months to plan, and this is something that we were able to plan in a very thoughtful, very strategic way in probably about 5 or 6 weeks, and it's all because of the people that we have on our team. And you know, I'm nervous to call people out by name because I know that I'll forget somebody, but eventually we need to do that because there are a lot of people on our team that stepped forward and volunteered to do things, and if they hadn't done that, we wouldn't have been able to pull this off. And it's important that we all recognize them for their efforts. But it's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be from noon to 3:30, and it's going to be about bringing our kids together from all over the district and talking with them about what programs do you want? What should our schools look like physically? What should they feel like? We're going to be having some racial equity conversations. What do we need to be talking about as far as racial equity goes? What do we need to be thinking about as far as school climate? What are your thoughts on school choice and transportation? Would you rather walk to school? Would you rather take the bus? All of these things. And you know, I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, but when it comes to getting feedback from people, that's what we're most interested in, is what our students have to say about the service that we provide. So we're very excited about tomorrow, and we look forward to reporting out next month and showing you how that event went. And if you're a social media person and you like, you know, going on our website and you follow us on Twitter and on Instagram, you're going to be able to see what's going on and what's happening in real time. So we have a lot of community engagement events scheduled for the month of October. the events that we're showing you here are neighborhood engagement events that have been scheduled in conjunction with the city of Rochester. And we've scheduled at least one public engagement session per quadrant. So again, we're looking at broad-based community engagement that's going to include parents, students, businesses, neighborhood associations, and other concerned citizens as well. So we're really trying to look at different ways that we can improve communication. You know that we have a new website.
Yeah, looks good.
It does look good, and again, that's Anne Marie and her team. I do want to mention the app because I think that it's great, and I know that that's something that the board has really championed and made that happen. And I know that Anne Marie is going to be speaking about that, so I won't go into a whole lot of detail on that. But the basis is really to continually improve our communication between home and school. We currently have the At Your Service line. That's only available during business hours, but we try to have a quick turnaround on that. We have some ideas that we're planning on implementing that we think can improve that communication with parents. And at the heart of it, something we're going to do here, we plan to launch in the next few weeks, is the Let's Talk feature, which is going to be part of our website. And it's an exciting new feature that, again, we think will really improve our communication capability. It's a community feedback solution specifically for schools. And so it allows you to invite and respond community feedback via the website, but also via social media, phone, and also in person. And it's accessible 24 hours a day. And so we have a 30-day plan in place, and we'll be able to have that feature available for use with a very limited scope, because we don't want to spread areas too far out, and we don't want to spread staff too far out in terms of how we set that up. So we're going to be very intentional about how we set it up, focusing primarily on transportation, placement, and special education, which is quite honestly where we tend to get the most complaints. And then when we have systems in place, we'll gradually build that up from there. So this is where we are in the process. Like I said, I truly believe that the power and the real opportunity is in the community engagement. So we're excited to go out there into the community. We're excited to open up our schools and to begin getting that feedback, which, as I said earlier, we believe is going to have a profound impact on the way that we do business here in Rochester City Schools for a long time. And so at this point, I will open it up for questions. I was probably just a little bit more long-winded than I wanted to be. I apologize if Commissioner Evans, if I'm cutting into some chicken wing time, but I got through it as quickly as I could.
Well, because this is your first time addressing the board and sitting in for the superintendent, we'll cut you slack this time.
Okay, all right, I appreciate that. You give me a mic and I get carried away sometimes.
Any questions? Be careful now, Commissioner
Just,
Evans.
yeah, I know. Just the only thing I'll say is that I am very happy to hear that there is a session that's involved with students. I know what it was like when I was a student. I'm glad that students are going to be involved in that session and that you are listening to them, because who better than the folks that are sitting in those seats to know what it is that they're looking for and what's going to keep them engaged. So I'm glad that's there. I see we have our new student, Ms. Silva, here. I won't put you on the spot, but I hope that the Student Leadership Congress is involved with this effort that Deputy Superintendent Wright mentioned, and I look forward to hearing the students' responses to a lot of the questions that they'll be posed with, but not just the questions, but the ideas that they will also put forth, because we really have to empower our young people, and this is one way to do that, by asking them what do they think. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, and I'd like to echo that as well. I'm really excited to hear about this thing happening tomorrow at SOTA. I'm looking forward to the next ones, and then the city quadrants. That's awesome, and I'm going to try to get to as many as I can too. I also, you didn't mention this, but I've been really pleased. You know, we get weekly reports from the superintendent on initiative she's working in. And what I've been really happy to read are the reports from the chiefs. It's just great to get all the information from the different chiefs to find out what's going on, that level of detail. So I just want to say thank you. I really, really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Appreciate that. All right. I asked for your my colleagues' indulgence. I invited somebody here today, and I told them they would. I would get to my report by 7, and we're not at my report. But I wanted to. Is Jacqueline Brinkley here? Ms. Brinkley, come on up for a second. Give Ms. Brinkley a round of applause. And I'm gonna spend some more time talking about Ms. Brinkley in a minute, but she runs an organization called Me Community Outreach Incorporated, isn't that right? Imagine Me, I'm sorry, Imagine Me Community Outreach Incorporated. And they were one of the folks that responded to our call for Hope for Houston to donate gently used and new books. And so she came here. Ms. Brinkley, how many books did you all bring? You can take the mic, please, over there.
Only 703 books.
703 books. So are the books here? I saw somebody walking around with a big box. So we really appreciate that. But again, tell us about your organization before you step down.
All right. We have a Stop, Sit, and Read program that we do. On Saturday mornings, we're at the shelter from 9 to 11. Every year, we host Dr. Seuss and Van White have been our readers in the past years. And we're looking to probably pass out books in every street in the city. We were blessed. Barnes & Nobles on Monroe Avenue, they picked our organization, and they're going to be having a book fair, a book drive, start November to the end of December. And last year, they raised 6,300 books, and so their goal is to beat that goal. So we're blessed to be able to give all our books to the cities, to Houston. So we're excited, and we're asking if anyone want to volunteer December the 20th at Barnes & Nobles. We do need people to help us wrap up gifts, and then they're going to give us the money. And you can go to our website and see much more what we do.
And let's give her a round of applause. Imagine Me Community Outreach. Thank you very much. 703 books? And I will give you all the final tally later tonight during my president's report. But again, let's thank them. We really appreciate their work. I didn't want her to stay here too late because they've already made sacrifices. Thank you, colleagues, for allowing them to give their report real quick. So we then move on to, Madam Clerk, do we have a report from the Bilingual Council?
Yes.
All right, so colleagues, there's a written report from the Bilingual Council. I ask that you take the time, if you haven't already, to review that. Yes, ma'am. Oh, is the representative here? Come on up and give us a brief report, if you don't mind, but very brief. But including everything you need to say. How you like that?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You miss me. You miss me. You didn't see me from when? Good?
Extraño tu mucho.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Myrna Gonzalez, the president of the Bilingual Educational Council. Thank you for the opportunity to share some of the work activities that the council has been working on. Some of the items in this report are informal, and some items need for the district provide follow-up responses and concrete actions. We, bilingual parents, community-based organizations, and educators represent and advocate for the educational rights to a quality bilingual education for all students in the Rochester City School District, in accordance with the terms and agreement between the Rochester City School District and the Bilingual Educational Council. I want to bring to your attention the following information: feedback and topics of concern. We have continued to work through on the summer month. In July, we held a retreat for the Bilingual Educational Council members. We will review our mission, vision, bylaws, develop a framework, and form committees to support student, parents, families, and address areas of concerns that need attention and advocacy. For the first time in the history of the Bilingual Educational Council, we were invited and included on the agenda for the teacher training session in August. We did presentations and explained the purpose of the council and the need to work closer together, the parents and teachers. We answered questions and asked the teachers to help get information out to the parents about the Bilingual Educational Council meetings and to help establish a parent group in each of the bilingual schools. Thank you to Abel Perez, Shirley Flores, and Maria Encarnacion. They were instrumental in making this happen. In September, we attended the long-awaited meeting with the Latino Educational Task Force, Commissioner Cruz and Mr. Ben White, and Rochester City School District leadership. We had expected to hear about the state of the bilingual program and Latino students in the district, but that has been scheduled for October. Hopefully, we will not have to wait another 4 months to meet again. We did get an update on the new staffing that has been brought on board to help focus on some of the repeat recommendations. We have voiced like recruitment of bilingual staff and Hispanic studies curriculum. We look forward to hear the presentation in October and the opportunity to take a deeper look at the bilingual educational model at the district. The Bilingual Educational Council participates in several of the school district back-to-school events and community outreach at the Puerto Rican Festival. We pass out information about the Bilingual Educational Council and give away free books. This is part of the new efforts we plan for this school year. We are concerned about the recent elections results for the Board of Education. Since there will be no Latino representation on the board. I want to remind the district about Hurricane Maria and how it has destroyed the island of Puerto Rico. More than 70% of the Latino students in the district are from or have family in Puerto Rico. Many families still haven't heard from relatives in Puerto Rico. There is still no running water, no power, and limited access to cell signal. Roads are completely washed away, others blocked by trees and down power lines. The pictures come out of Puerto Rico are shocking. All children and families are under a great deal of stress and trauma. All children needs for the principal, teachers, counselors, social workers to be compassionate and to provide a support network during this crisis to students talking about what happened and what are their feelings. The school district should plan and prepare for the number of Latino families and children to increase. Many are expected to leave the island and reunite with their families in Rochester during the middle of the school year. Be prepared, more are coming. Again, on behalf of the Bilingual Educational Council, I want to thank you. We continue to be hopeful and will not give up. We know and believe that if we work together, the board, the district, leadership and staff, parents and the community, we can provide the best education and support services for our children, and we can address any of the challenges or issues that our students and families are facing. Así se puede. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is PAC. Did we get a written report from PAC? No. I did meet with Makita Salone earlier today, yesterday actually, and it was a good meeting. She is the chairperson of PAC. I think our meeting with PAC, our board meeting with PAC is coming up. You don't know when it is? I think it's next month, in October, early October. So check your calendars because they do like board members to turn out and meet with PAC. PAC, by the way, is Parent Advisory Council. They exist by virtue of our bylaws. We have a council that advises the superintendent and the board on a variety of things. And so we meet with them, I think, quarterly as a board, and I think they meet monthly. So, and by the way, anybody who's interested in joining PAC, contact, I guess I would have them call Francine Scott at 262-8525 because they are looking for additional members. So anybody interested in joining the Parent Advisory Council, call Francine Scott at 262-8525. I don't want to put you on the spot, but were you prepared to give a report?
Yes, I
All right.
Good.
can actually hand that.
Okay.
You just pass it down.
As she does that, as you guys get the report, just a little background. Ms. Sylvia is a senior at the School Without Walls Commencement Academy. She's the captain and catcher of the varsity softball team, Lady Red Jacket of James Monroe High School. She is very creative and crafty. We're going to see over the course of your service here, because you have to be creative to be on this body. She is an athlete and an artist. Not only does Genesis have a passion for softball and art, but she has a passion for God. Amen. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Other than being good at the softball field, she spends most of her week at church. Boy, you're really giving meaning to that name, Genesis. After Genesis graduates, she wants to join the Army and become a firefighter and attend college. Genesis, the floor is yours. Let's give her a round of applause. That's wonderful.
Thank you, everybody. I'm Genesis Silva, as you guys heard. So before I start, I want to begin with the Path Forward Summit, which Mr. Cruz went over, and I want everyone to know that Student Leadership Congress is very excited for this summit because it is a wonderful way to bring students together in order to benefit the Rochester City School District. And like he said, who better to give feedback than the students who experience it? And like Student Leadership Congress, this is a great way to give voice to the students. And this is why we will be recruiting students who want to be heard to join our Congress in order to voice their opinions and ideas full-time. And we will provide a report about the summit at the October board meeting. And to talk about the Rock to Change Student Race Summit, as you know, RCSD has hosted the last Student Race Summit this past March, and it was a very, very, very successful event. And the next summit will be hosted by Brockport in November. And I and many other RCSD students will be there to represent our district. And the Race Summit is a wonderful way to bring people together from different schools, districts, backgrounds, races, and cultures to educate and have productive discussions about race, classism, bias, and prejudice. And we want you to know that this is a very important topic in our country right now and that we want to contribute to this discussion. And for communication, Student Leadership Congress struggled to get good participation last year. And right now we are currently determining the best way to communicate to students in order to increase involvement. We know that students have a lot to say and want to be heard. And our goal is to ensure that they are heard and that voices from every school and the demographics within schools are represented. And it is a privilege to represent those voices, and it is an honor. So thank you.
Well done. Nice job. It's been a minute since we've had a student report, and boy, to be reintroduced to the Student Congress with your presentation was really quite an honor. So good job. Any questions or comments, Commissioner Hallmark?
I just wanted to ask you, were you assigned a mentor or onboarding person from anyone from the board?
Yeah, we'll do that offline.
Okay.
Yep. What Commissioner Hallmark is referring to is the board designates a mentor to the student rep, and we'll make sure that she gets one in short order.
Good.
Great job. Any other questions or comments? Nope. All right, then we would move on to committee reports. Commissioner Powell, let's start with you. Commissioner Powell, excuse me for 1 second. I just want to explain to people there's some vacant seats here, and I want folks to know that folks are still doing their job. Commissioner Adams and Vice President Elliott are attending a conference in New Orleans for CUBE. It's actually the first CUBE conference I've missed in many years. And they're always very productive and effective conferences. And our superintendent is taking a well-deserved, much-deserved vacation. That's why Deputy Superintendent Wright is serving in her place today. I'm sorry, Commissioner Powell, go ahead.
No problem, thank you. It's a brief report. The Policy Committee did not meet in September, but in our packet today, we have drafts of 3 policies that were advanced to the full board as information items back in August and are on the dais as discussion items tonight. The first is the policy prohibiting harassment or discrimination against students and employees, which is policy 0100. This would be a policy amendment. The second is the employee obligations surrounding reporting of suspected child abuse and neglect. This is also requirements that were added regarding reporting and investigation of suspected child abuse in the education setting, mandated by New York State law. And the third is the wellness policy, policy 5405. It's a big policy. We make small changes rather frequently. This won't be the last time, but there are some specific updates that reflect recent changes in the federal law and regulation and recommendations of the district's wellness task force. Each of these policies is was presented last month as an information item and is now being advanced for full discussion after we've taken up our resolutions. Our next meeting is October 17th at 6 p.m. Point of personal privilege, I remind you that Liz Hallmark and I will be attending the New York State School Board Association meeting starting October 12th, which is Thursday, the pre-conference law seminar, and going through the weekend of October 15th, I guess, is when we come home, right? So I think there's a resolution naming Liz as our voting delegate.
That's right.
I wholeheartedly support that. So, gosh, is there anything else I need to take up with you? No, that'll do for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell. Commissioner Hallmark?
Okay, sure. So Governance Committee, we coordinated most recently a work session that took place on September 16th. It was open to the public. And we met with the superintendent to discuss our goals, development of the board goals for the year. The main thing was that we wanted to make sure that our board goals are aligning with the superintendent's goals. And so among them, I'll just list among them, we're working on a master calendar to make sure that our committee meetings are more in coordination with the superintendent's master calendar. We decided we'd like to work towards more meetings of the whole so that we can share information more readily among ourselves. We also talked about through CIGR committee that we were going to develop a well-coordinated legislative agenda and work more on parent engagement opportunities, and some of those might be hosting some public forums, and also reassessing our assignment of school liaisons so that we're better coordinated across the city. And also under the policy committee, we were going to work on the equity policy alignment. And then last but not least, we were going to be much more proactive around designing our professional development for the year among the board members. So I'll be asking that the board formally accept these goals in the October 2017 business meeting. And if there are any questions or feedback, I'll take those. Thanks. Oh, that's the governance. I need to report about a couple more things. I think it's important to share the 333 meeting that's taking place every month. I'm the new chair of that committee, and one of the things that we're very happy about is that we finally got the data sharing agreement between the city and the district. And so that's going to help coordinate information on recreation, library, schools, and help us help students' success more. We're hoping that we can convince the county to come join us on that. They need to see a little bit more data before that happens. And then one of our biggest goals for the year in the 3-through-3 this year is to work on developing a strategic plan for youth development. So we're excited about that. And then last but not least, I just want to mention I went to a wonderful school welcoming evening last night at School 15, where they had a lot of parents, a lot of kids, a great scavenger hunt. Everybody was wandering around, meeting everyone. It was great energy there, so that was great. That's it. Thank you.
Mark, Commissioner Evans?
Thank you, Mr. President. The Excellence in Student Achievement Committee met on Tuesday, September 26th, to learn more about the work of the Children's Agenda and promoting the well-being of children in our community. Larry Marks, Executive Director, and Eamon Scanlon, Education Policy Analyst, discussed the unique role the Children's Agenda plays in collaborating with service providers, research institutes, and community organizations to coordinate advocacy efforts on behalf of children. And just briefly, I'll say their overall mission is to promote policies and programs that are evidence-based, that have demonstrated clear benefits to children, particularly those who are most vulnerable because of poverty, trauma, and racism. Some of the things they focused on is cradle to career, the continuum to support an integrated whole child approach, evidence-based expertise, and provide independent, and this is very important, nonpartisan advocacy. As you know, they have spent years advocating, analyzing, and giving feedback on the city's budget, the county's budget, and they are now going to start this year giving feedback as it relates to the city school district budget and as it relates to children, to also give independent, nonpartisan comments on how our budget has an effect on children. This is important not from a gotcha perspective, but they also can be great advocates for us in terms of highlighting many of the great programs that we do have in the Rochester City School District. The agenda was also instrumental in securing $4.75 million earlier this year to help support early childhood initiatives through RMAPI, which is the Rochester Monroe Anti-Poverty Initiative. They also helped with $6.4 million to establish paid family leave in New York State, which is something that is very important to working families. And those are just a few recent examples of the advocacy the Children's Agenda has provided. We know about their work for Nurse-Family Partnership and a bunch of other things. The two things I wanted to mention that are coming up that I hope people will pay attention to, and in fact I was just talking to County Legislator Tony Michike earlier today about this, is that we need to push for, and Children's Agenda is helping to lead this fight, increased county funding for child care subsidies, and increase the number of child protective service workers to address the backlog in child abuse investigations and facilitate provisions of critically needed services for these children. Members of the ESA committee decided to prepare letters of support for both of these efforts, which the president has signed, and the letter is circulated, and you have it at the dais, which are presented for your consideration this evening. The fact that we had a 3-year-old girl die, the Brooke Stagel's case, you guys should be seeing it on the news. 3-year-old girl die because of lack of supervision from the Child Protective Services because of the backlog is absolutely criminal. And if the county doesn't do anything about that, I don't know what hope we have in this community if we allow that to happen again. A 3-year-old child, I have a 3-year-old, so this is near and dear to my heart. So put yourself in the position of that family, of a 3-year-old being neglected and killed, and you got a 3-year-old who won't see graduation, won't see the prom, won't see those things because of negligence on behalf of the way we fund child protective workers. If we can find tax cuts and all types of other things, we should be able to find money to pay child protective service workers, who, by the way, don't make that much money anyway, to be able to do that. All right, I'll get off my soapbox on that, but as you can see, I'm passionate about it, and I hope that we can see some changes there. And there seems to be bipartisan support in the county legislature for that, so I hope we can see that. And also, the last thing I want to mention is the Children's Agenda staff also will have the Rock the Future event, which will be a State of Our Children address, which will be October 17th from 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. at the Riverside Convention Center. I know that I will be attending that event, and I know our president will also be there, and I believe Mr. Bo Wright, our deputy superintendent, will be there also doing a presentation on the path forward. Our next scheduled committee meeting is November 9th, following the Finance Committee meeting, and we may have to change that date because I'm going on vacation. That's going to be 2 days after the general election, so I'm going to need a rest. So I will get with the clerk to change the date of that meeting. But by the way, I'm not going anywhere yet. I will be at that ESA committee meeting in November, so don't start taking my picture off the wall yet. That concludes my report.
We're not going to take your picture down. We're going to leave it up there.
Well, that one won't come down. That's on the Wall of Fame. But
Commissioner Cruz?
Thank you, Mr. President. You will be missed. Finance Committee met on September 21st to consider a number of resolutions, including a discussion with regard to the preliminary end of 2016-2017 year. We also vetted the August 17th financial report. The June report is really preliminary at this point. They're still closing up shop on those, on that budget. But the August 17th financial report is in your packet, and I'd like to put forth a motion to accept that, if I may.
It's been moved and seconded.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. There are a number of different resolutions you have before you with regard to East EPO, procurement and supply facilities, and a couple others. The committee had a number of late submissions that we went over. In your packet, there's there's 4 different resolutions, 285 through 288. Those are resolutions really just for budget amendments and affirmation of general fund and special aid grant funds. And the food service funds. So those will be coming up in your package as well. Those have been discussed. The Finance Committee did have some concern about some of the resolutions coming in late or without documentation, and we've made that concern noted to the staff on behalf. I sent a memo on behalf of the committee to the superintendent. It just sometimes it creates issues because it slows down the process, and we really want to be able to be in a position to fully vet these resolutions. And if they're coming in late or without documentation, that creates a bit of a challenge. So we've made that known, Mr. President, to the staff. The last late submission was one, it's really a technical change. Our students at MCC are going through the food lines, just like any other college student is going through. And they're having a great time because now they can choose all these kinds of different things. So they can get salad or they can get pizza or whatever they're serving at that particular day. So they are living it up. And again, there's no difference between them, our students, and the students at MCC. So it's sort of like a rite of passage, as it were. So, but Resolution 293 is a technical in which we are changing the name of the vendor. That's all we're doing there. So no major issues. Again, as Malik is fond of saying, we vet these fully. We have discussions with staff. We get the information, and we come to the board as part of the process to really let the board know that we've discussed them, we've looked at them, we've researched them, and that they can feel fully confident that we have those opinions and have the information that they would normally would want. Our next committee meeting potentially is October 19th. We may have to do some scheduling issues, but it will be October 19th. That is it for me, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Cruz. I'll try to be very brief. I first want to thank Commissioner Evans for covering for me at the 2 hearings we had. I have to travel to Brookville, Pennsylvania for a client, point of personal privilege. When people talk about sitting down or kneeling down for the flag, it's very real what's happening to people of color. This young man was doing nothing but sitting in a car, and now he's sitting in a jail in Brookville, Pennsylvania. for a very, very minor offense, and they extradited him from Monroe County after they picked him up to Brookville, Pennsylvania. So clearly excessive. So I just want folks to know, no matter what side you take on that debate, understand that what people are talking about when they're taking a knee, whether you agree with that or not, what they're talking about is they're not talking about the flag. They're talking about what is happening to people of color, which they believe violates some of the very basic tenets of our Constitution. So I just want folks to know, this is very real, and maybe they're not being picked up and arrested, but I gotta say, I have a lot of respect. I mean, there's if anybody wants it, I'll pass it around. There was a guy by the name of Muhammad Ali, and he was vilified, as you recall, for doing what he did, right? And there's this great video passing around, if you haven't seen it, and someone's interviewing him, and he says, you know, I respect the man who puts down $1 million to make a powerful statement. So I just want you to know, and I assume most people know this, because we are either people of color or you know people of color where this has happened to. This is very, very real. And this guy just happens to be very blessed to have a support system, but it's just tragic how what that flag stands for is being violated outside the stadiums. That's what people are talking about. And I appreciate my colleagues giving me the opportunity to say that. It's not to engage in a debate about it, but it's just to state a fact that I will drive 3.5 hours for basically a traffic offense. And that is not what America is about. So with respect to the balance of my report, as Commissioner Evans said, there are 2 letters addressed to the county executive that advocate for the increased number of CPS workers and increased child care subsidies. If you have any objection to these letters, send me an email, give me a call, let me know, or if you have any concern, if you want the letters modified in any way, and we'll make sure the letters get modified so that we can get them with one voice from the Board of Education to our county executive. Secondly, as you all know, there's been just too many tragedies in our nation, in Florida, Texas, Louisiana, and Puerto Rico. We just can't keep up with the tragedies and the challenges that our loved ones and our fellow Americans are dealing with. So your prayers are really important. But as I said earlier today, there are things that we can do and things that this district has done. And I'm proud to say that this Board of Education, this is not the first time we've stepped up as a group and encouraged our colleagues and our students to do something. A couple of years ago, we did Spoons for Haiti. They asked us, this organization asked us to just gather 500 spoons. This district, the Rochester City School District, the home of Ernest Flagler and a lot of other great hometown heroes, gathered 10,000 spoons a couple years ago. This Board of Education led that effort. Well, we followed it up with Hope for Houston. It was unfortunately the first tragedy that we, of the season, that we as a board decided to respond to. And I asked Ms. Brinkley to come up earlier because I didn't want to tie her up so she could get home to her family. But outside the district, she raised, as you heard, 703 books, gently used and new books for the children of Houston. I got to tell you, when you add those books, you ready for this? When you add those books to the books that your students, this community dropped off at the base of downstairs, we will have gathered in a very short period of time 1,570 books. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. That's beautiful. The reality is that Houston had 42 libraries, and as of the writing of the original press release, only 18 of them were back online. All their library vehicles were destroyed, and sadly, many of their schools are just coming online. And you can imagine what can happen to a book in a flood. You all have had a book get wet and the pages stick together and it's mildew and it's useless. Well, we will have contributed 1,500 books to restore the libraries and schools of Houston, Texas. I also want you to know that we're a community of people, and it's not just the organizations like Imagine Me, Community Outreach, and our schools. And I really have to thank number 19 school for stepping up and donating a lot of books. But the Bay Trail Middle School in Penfield has donated 5 boxes of books. So By the time we get done, we imagine we'll have close to 2,000 books. And again, we need to understand we are a nation of people who struggle, and we need to be there as people for those who struggle. So I thank my colleagues and all of you in the Rochester School District for supporting this important effort. And now, another initiative led by the Board of Education was the creation of a link. And I'd ask Anne Marie and Nathan to come on up and describe that for us. As you guys coming up, I want to thank Francine Scott. She's probably in bed or just chilling out right now. Francine Scott, as you guys know, she keeps the engine going. Anne Marie and Nathan know this. Everybody knows who Francine is. When you see Francine in this building tomorrow, say thank you, because we would have never gathered those 1,500 books without Francine Scott. So please do us a favor on behalf of the board, thank Francine, because she works really hard for all of us. Anne Marie?
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening, everyone. So I'm here to talk to you today about a new parent and student mobile app that we have actually just rolled out at the start of the school year. It's called RCSD Link. So if you have your phone right now, you can just actually go and download that if you want. We'll tell you how in just a minute. Nathan's actually going to walk through the app and show you how. So, I mean, I think it's pretty easy to know why we should have a mobile app, right? Everybody has a phone. And up until now, what we had available for parents to receive information about their students, their grades, their report cards, we had a parent portal. They had to have a laptop or a PC device in order to go onto this website in order to get information. But everybody, just about everybody, has a phone that they carry with them all the time. And so a mobile app is just more convenient. So parents will not only be able to get information about their students' grades and assignments, they'll be able to get all general information about their school or schools that their children go to. So the app is very easy to download, just like any other app that's out there from an iPhone or an Android device. The App Store, the Play Store, you just look for RCSD Link, and it's a free app that anybody in the community can download. And anyone can get information about our district or any of our schools, or all of our schools. Essentially, parents and students and community members would select the schools that they're interested in following, and they'll get information about those schools. They can sign up for text alerts, they can sign up for communications. So it's very easy to use for everybody, and it's available to everybody. Parents and students actually have a little bit more information that's available to them. So, out of the box, what's available is it's directly connected to our district and school websites. So any information that is available on our websites automatically flow to the app. So when we release anything new or any new information, it's automatically available on the app. Anything that is around any calendars, whether it's a school calendar or whether it's the district calendar, that's all available. So just basic general information. It's connected to all of our Twitter feeds and our Facebook feeds for our schools and our district. So any information that's going through any of those feeds is automatically available on the app. And that's available to everybody in the community. Accessibility. One of the things that has been very difficult for our parents and to actually be able to access is information about how do I contact, people at our different schools. So all of that is available through the app. Basically, they will be able to just find anyone in the school, and they'll be able to either email or call that individual right from their phone. So it's a direct link. But accessing student data, that's really why we did this. So we wanted parents to be able to have immediate information about their students. We wanted them to be able to identify any assignments that were upcoming that their students had to work on. We wanted them to see grades proactively. We wanted them to also have access to even more than that. We wanted them to be able to track their students' progress towards graduation. And we wanted them to immediately be able to see their students' reports on ELA, New York State math and ELA exams. So all of that will be available to parents and students from the app. and parents can sign up for an account. We actually had some really good numbers coming through, so this rolled out at the start of the school year. We have more than 1,100 students have gone onto the app already in the last month, and about 400 parents as well, so the word is getting out there. So basically, I talked about this. I don't want to talk about it anymore because I really want Nathan to show you. He's going to actually go into the app, and if, while he's talking, if you want to go in and you want to download the app, you can do it right now. So RCSD link, and it's right on the App Store or the Google Play Store, depending on if you have an iPhone or an Android device. So, and if you are a parent and you want to register for an account, if you don't have one, you just need to go onto our district website, and right on the front banner, you can click on the link, RCSD link. It's right on the front banner, and you'll be able to just request an account. And then you'll be able to access your students' information.
This is the first time I could do a presentation while playing with my phone, so it's fantastic. So I do have an iPhone, so I'm going to go to the App Store. So up here in my right-hand corner, I have the App Store. And like Anne-Marie said, I'm just going to type in RCSD link. Pop up right there. And I can download it. It's a pretty small download. It'll only take a second. And I can open it. So as any member of the public, anyone in this room, we've downloaded already, this is what you're going to see. And so I'm going to go through this very briefly. This is basically information available to anyone who downloads this app. So I get some news feeds right away. You can see this scrolling kind of marquee at the top of the screen. If I click on what's new, it's just new stuff coming from all those feeds, from our website, from our Facebook page, Twitter.
That was the guy who was just
That
speaking?
is the guy who just presented tonight, yes.
Real time.
That is our presenter from earlier today. You know, tomorrow, the first thing you see on the top of the screen, tomorrow is a half day for our students. Look at that. There's a calendar right here. I'm going to skip over the second button, Access Student Information. There's a calendar. I click on that. Look, there's a board meeting tonight at 6:30. That's why we're all here. So again, I can click through this, see upcoming events for all the schools, for the district, all in one place. Again, I'm just scrolling to the side with my thumb, just like any other app you normally would. I'm given a bunch more buttons. I'm going to click on this Schools and Programs one. I'm given a list of schools, and this is where, again, the public can access all information on our buildings, staff, contact data. I'm just going to scroll through this and pick on Soda. So I click on School of the Arts, and I'm given some quick information on School of the Arts. You see a phone number there, you see an address, you see a website, and again, this is all mobile friendly. So if I click on that phone number, voila, it gives me the option to call right from there. I don't need to memorize anything.
Nice.
If I click on the address, boom, it's going to open up in Google Maps for me. I can locate the school.
This changes everything.
Yeah.
This is great.
And if I click on the website, it's going to open up the website and so on and so forth. Down at the bottom, you can see staff, teachers, principals. If I click on teachers, I get a list of teachers at SOTA. If I want to see their information, I click on that. There's their email address. I click on it. Boom, it opens up an email window. I can quickly type an email. So again, very quick and easy to access the information and also communicate with the schools. Go all the way home. I have a bunch of other resources here. I'm not going to go through each and every one of them. There's a link here for parent resources, get information on enrolling your child's school, job opportunities. A link for parent resources where I can see information on the Board of Education, Parent Advisory Council, so on and so forth. Again, accessible to everyone. You can go in there, click on all the links, see what kind of information is available there. We're constantly updated, like I said, real time. Just going to touch on settings real quick. As a member of the public, you have the opportunity to follow schools. So you saw the news section as well as the calendar. If I want to get items from particular schools in those areas, I just go to follow schools. I find the schools I want to follow. I say yes, and I get all the information for those schools. So you can follow all the schools, none of the schools, just the district, but it's all up to you. So that's available to the general public. I'm just going to dive right into the student information. So I skipped this second button here, Access Student Information. So I think, as Anne-Marie mentioned, we've given credentials to all 27,000 of our students. They have their credentials emailed to them a few weeks ago, I think, as well as all active Parent Connect users. So they all have accounts. They receive those in the mail. I am going to log in as one, testing my memory. first try. Okay, first thing you'll notice is that student information link went away, and now if I swipe over, I've got a few different icons now. You see one in the second row on the right. I am Michelle Parent right now, so I have an icon for myself. I can click on myself, and I can see information on myself. My address, my phone number, all the information the district has on file for me. And also 2 other buttons there in the third row for my 2 students. I have Marcus student and Johnny student in district, and their photos come up if they've had their photo taken at their school. I'm going to click on Marcus student, and this is really the meat and potatoes of this app. This is where students, family members can access real-time student information, grades, attendance on their mobile phone. So the first thing you see there is upcoming assignments. We really want to make that front and center so the parents can see what's coming up for their students in the future. So this particular student, Marcus, has a quiz due on October 6th, so he should be studying for that.
I'm sorry, are you under parent resources?
No, I'm logged in as a parent right now.
Oh, okay. Under where is that here?
It was the student information button. It was on the bottom, first page, second button over. But you need credentials to log in to access that information.
Yeah, you've got to be a parent.
So, just moving along, classes. If I click on classes, I see my student schedule as well as their current grades in their classes right from their teacher's grade book. So this is live data as far as where a student is, how a student is doing in their classes right now. So my particular sample student, he has a 45 in geometry. I can click on that. I can click on assignments, and I can see all 4 assignments that contribute to that score of 45. And if I have a question about that, I go back to the class, and there's an email button on the top right. Boom, I can email the teacher real quick if I have any questions about that grade. Attendance is there as well. Attendance for every single class. I can see every time my student is tardy or absent or present to all of his classes. A few other pieces of information here on the additional information page, and this is, I know our board president, Van White, really championed this. We can see 3 through 8 test scores. So you can see as soon as the New York State test scores come out, we're going to put them into this app so they can see where their students are on ELA and math levels. And we also have a report here tracking a student's progress towards graduation. So I don't know if you saw it real quick, academic progress. And it pulls up a report and shows me every single course I've taken in high school and how it contributes to each New York State graduation requirement. And basically, it's a way for me to track my progress towards graduation. Last thing I want to show you real quick, very handy. In settings, I can configure alerts. So if I don't want to check the app regularly every single day, I can configure some alerts here to track every time attendance has been added, whenever a missing assignment is added, anytime my class grade drops below a certain grade, anytime I receive an assignment score below a certain grade, or anytime my class grade gets updated. So I can configure some alerts there. So again, just like any other alert on your phone, it'll buzz, it'll put a little badge there, and let you know you need to go and look at something. I think that's about it.
That's more than enough.
All right, Mr. President.
Well, Mr. President, I'm just glad that Minister Evans didn't have this when I was in school. But I want to just say thank you to the IT team for the app, but I also want to thank our president, poor Van White. A lot of people may not know, but he pushed for this thing, I want to say for 2 years. Was it 2 years, Mr. President? About that for this. And I mean, he was dogged in his determination to do this. I mean, he presented it, I know, to the ESA committee. So it really does pay off, and I want to just give him, give you props and kudos for pushing for this app, because it's something that we needed. I mean, I know Anne Marie has been all about technology for as long as I've known her, and I'm glad that the president pushed for this. I mean, this is the way people are living now. People are living on their cell phones, like it or not. Sometimes they're using it for they're not doing just Snapchat or Facebook. They can get valuable information, and I think it's good that we're doing this, because most of our parents do have cell phones. So I'm glad that we do have this app, but I just wanted to really thank the president for pushing this app, and I hope that people take advantage of it. Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Pop?
Thank you, Mr. President. As the one parent on the board who's got a kid in school right now, I tried to utilize many of these functions when it was presented to us in and got stopped with the credential part. I tried my son's student ID and password, like his own email address, password, but that wasn't it. So why don't you tell us what a parent needs to do to get the credential?
Sure. So it is a unique username and password. So you said your son, I'm sorry? So he would have received an email probably 3 weeks ago with a username and password to log in. Hopefully you would have received a letter in the mail with some credentials. So we can reset that for you, and I can personally give that to you. Okay. But yeah, you received a letter in the mail, or parents with active parent accounts should have received a letter in the mail. It's it's actually a 5-digit number, like you saw me type in, with a password that's also 5 digits. Students are very similar, but they would receive that in their email. Got it.
So yeah, I think Malik is correct. This is the way families, parents are living today, especially the ones that are younger than me. I've been parenting for 32 years, and things have changed a lot since my oldest went through school. And the old system, Parent Connect, was computer-based, but the communication was often delivered with voice messages over the phone or emails saying, homework assignment is late, or received a failing grade for not turning the homework in. I've heard my fair share of those messages. But this makes it much more present and immediate, and I think will allow me, when I get those messages, to, grill my son the minute he walks home in the door from school. And that's the way active parents are going to want to put this to use, is to, engage their children immediately upon receiving this information from the district.
I did have some numbers I wanted to share. We've had more than 5,000 app downloads, too.
Wow.
And 1,400 people sign in this month. So
now, when you say sign in, do you mean sign in using the credentials?
Correct.
Okay, so other people open their mail, right? I'm the one that didn't open my mail.
Or your son took it because he saw it was in the district.
Right.
Or you might not have used Parent Connect in the last year, because those are the only credentials that we mailed out, because we didn't want to send it out to users that maybe they had something had changed. So it was only active Parent Connect users. So that may also be the case.
Okay. Well, the thing is, when you have your setting in Parent Connect, when you have the settings that send email directly or a voice message to the phone, I had no reason to change anything on Parent Connect. So was I considered an active parent on Parent Connect if all I did was receive and not change any settings?
You would have had to sign in. So sign in to get.
Yeah, I never had to do that.
So that may be why.
Yeah. But, okay.
So if you just go on, and actually we can just reset it for you and resend it to you. But for the community, for everyone else, for all parents, they just need to go to the district website and just register, sign up, and they will be mailed an account. So, thank you.
Any other
that
questions?
could still, I'm sorry, that can still be the weak link, though. This business of having something mailed to them might end up being the weak link in the whole setup process.
Well, we did talk about that, and the reason that we did the mail is because we needed to make certain that we were sending it. We have to verify we're connecting them to student information, so we really have to take steps to make sure that we're sending them to the parents that are parents or guardians that are on file. Mm-hmm. That they are the correct parents and guardians. We can't tell that if anybody just goes on and signs up and puts an email address in. We really need to verify that. And we don't all have all email addresses in the student information system. So that was the reason, just to make sure that we are providing only parents and guardians access to student information.
It's almost like when you send someone an ATM PIN number, you have to send it to the
Correct. That's right. Correct.
Now, in this process, though, are we also making sure then that we have emergency contact information updates? Because one of the things that we've done very poorly in this district is to find ways of getting emergency contact information from our parents. I mean, the entire debate we had around military recruiter access to our student data was about, if we can't reach our parents by mail or phone, then why why would we deliver that information to you so that you can't get that or reach our parents?
Right. Well, I mean, schools at the start of every school year, I mean, they do send out the student information and they ask for that to be updated. Our parents are very, I mean, mobile. Our families are very mobile. So many times addresses change throughout the school year. So, you know, we do have a lot of, you know, incorrect mailing addresses because, you know, things have changed throughout the school year. But when parents register for an account, they do provide their current mailing address, their current phone number, their current email address, and that will be updated. So, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, I have a quick question,
yes, sir.
Mr. President.
Yep.
So how much of this is dependent upon entry of the data, the original data? Because I mean, you have to have up-to-date, almost you know, to the moment kind of data. So who's making sure that that information is getting into the system?
So that's absolutely correct. I mean, when you're accessing upcoming assignments, it's very important that there are upcoming assignments, right? And that is not really a new problem that we've had. It's a problem that we've always had. So even with Parent Connect, that was web-based. It was the same thing. So you know, teachers, this is connected to Teachers Gradebook. So was Parent Connect. And is Parent Connect, it's still available, is connected to Teachers Gradebooks. So teachers have gotten so much, I don't want to say better, but I guess they are using it more frequently because their students are looking now. So they are, where teachers previously only have to update their gradebooks with their marking period grades, essentially, because that's where the report cards come from. So the marking period grades get loaded to the report cards get produced. But now they're being much more proactive about loading, you know, assignments and grades proactively. So grades for assignments that have been completed and for exams that have been, you know, that have been completed. Students are looking. So, you know, we're very involved with a lot of students. We have student interns, you know, students that are in our schools that are our interns. We have about 20 of them. And so they're the first ones to try out this app. And they've been giving us feedback, and they're quite funny because they're developing actually a video that is going to be posted soon on our website. We met with them today, and they're still working on it. Next week, they've promised me that we're going to have a video to watch, so that's going to be great. So basically, the video is going to be to show the community how to download the app. They're going to actually walk through doing it, and then they're going to show how they're using the app in order to stay on top of what's, you know, their grades and their assignments upcoming. So it's really just, I think, by students using it more frequently, by parents using it more frequently, that is really going to generate much more proactive use. I think that this is such a common thing. I think we're a little bit late to the game, quite frankly, in putting an app out there, for a mobile app for parents and students. Districts, all the suburban districts have been doing it for a couple of years. So our teachers, whether they are living in the city or whether they are living in the suburbs, many of them have children of their own, and they all have apps. So I think it's just becoming more commonplace. So the use is much more frequent. When we were going out there today and we were looking at, you know, some information that was out there, we're seeing assignments. So, and last time we checked and we just did like a quick scan and pulled it from the system, I think it was something like 95% of our teachers had assignments out there. So it is being used, and I think we're just going to see more and more use as this becomes more common.
Thank you. And Commissioner Cruz, to Anne Marie and her team's credit, when they launched this, they actually launched it at some pilot schools, including East High School. Is that right, John? And so as part of the launch, there was a lot of orientation and discussion about its use. And correct me if I'm wrong, haven't you talked to administrators and teachers, groups of people about this?
Yes. So we actually, you know, spoke to principals, to assistant principals. We have done quite a lot of communication around this to try to get the word out. We have put it in, you know, our weekly leadership link to communicate to all administrators, but we've actually gone to principals meetings and presented and had all the principals download the app, and they've actually invited us to come to some of their staff meetings with their teachers, and we've come and we've presented to teachers. So we've generated a lot of information and communication around this. We're really trying to promote this.
And then finally, Commissioner Cruz, and Carl, you correct me if I'm wrong on this, but there were some recent changes to the contract, which I don't know if anybody can describe this, which require, I know it's not a specific language about holding people accountable for entering data and information, but somebody correct me here,
I think
what am I talking
it's
about?
more, I think it was maybe about a year ago. And
Okay.
it's specific to,
It's not specific,
now this is the teacher's contract. So in
Right.
the teacher's contract, there is language that teachers must use the grade book to post grades. It's not specific to posting assignments. It doesn't go that far. But the RTA has been supportive of this effort, and you know, they are aware of this. We also presented to all the unions that this was coming, because we wanted to make sure that, you know, the administrators union was aware, the teachers union was aware that this was coming. So everyone is in the know about this. So
I think Steve, who at the time was interim general counsel, when they were having these negotiations, I think the feeling was it was an opportunity to sort of ensure a dialogue about making sure this stuff stayed real time. It wasn't specific enough, but at least it ensured that there could be a conversation, accountability conversation about this particular app.
Well, sure, because some of, you know, in addition to the assignments, making sure that the test results are in, and there's a lot of information a parent really wants to keep on top of, and if that's lagging anyway, then, you know, that creates a number of issues as well. So I would hope that, you know, I mean, we spend a lot of money in this district on professional development and tools and resources, and a lot of money on IT and software, that, you know, these are tools that staff could use to really maintain something that everybody's critical about, and that is communications. And so I think what you've done with this app, and, you know, Mr. President, that as well, kudos to you, is really just another way of being able to communicate with our parents. And so when somebody comes up to me and says, oh, you know, I didn't know anything about that, I said, well, if you really look at how many times and how much money we spend on communicating this stuff to folks, you know, it's just a matter of being able to use all these tools and resources. So, you know, congratulations to you and your staff. Did a great job.
thank you.
The hour is late, so don't attribute the brevity of my congratulations and thanks to anything other than I hear Malik chomping at the ears about getting home and getting those wings. But I do want to reiterate what people have already said. Anne Marie and Nathan and others that I can identify. Thank you for, Nathan, I want you to hear this, because I won't have many opportunities to say this to you directly and personally. On behalf of the board, both of you and your team, please share this with them. We are very appreciative of you following through with this, not just doing it, because as you said, there are a lot of apps that are out there, but this is a very unique app, and it's unique because you all put the work into it. We should also thank, I know no one's here for them, but PAC, the Parent Advisory Council, as Anne Marie and Nathan will tell you, and Tom will tell you, there was a lot of conversation with those folks about what this app should look like. And when it was rolled out there and it wasn't perfect and it wasn't right, it was because PAC, Makita and her team, let Anne Marie and her team know where the imperfections were. So we should thank them. And Anne Marie and Nathan and Tom, it is not always easy to accept criticism and constructive criticism. But you all accepted it very graciously and took their input. And this app that is different than any other app is a reflection not only of your good work, but the work of the members of PAC.
So to segue on what you were just saying also, I just wanted to make sure, I didn't see an icon for PAC or Bilingual Council, and then the events that aren't owned by anybody, like this one that we mentioned tonight about the soda event that's happening tomorrow. It's not here on my calendar. So there may be some odd events and things that made me need to go into a big district bucket that are not owned by any individual school that, that's, it takes a while to get it all. But.
No, that's great feedback. We'll definitely add PAC and Bilingual Council. That's great. We'll add buttons for those. And
all these parent engagement things, the student leadership and,
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
I think Commissioner Hallmark makes a good point, and it should go without saying, and I know it would to your team, that this has got to be a living, breathing, kind of developing organism. And that, matter of fact, I met with Makita, the chair of PAC, just the other day, and she had some suggestions, which I need to send you an email about. So I think you all appreciate that there are modifications that might need to be made, and that will make it an even more effective tool. So we thank you for being willing to hear suggestions that might make it even better app. Thank you very much. Can we give them a wonderful round of applause? Thank you very much. All right, the hour is late, and Commissioner Evans says he's got a date with a chicken wing. My wife, talking about apps, she just sent me a message saying, what do you want? I'm not even going to mention the name of the restaurant. What do you want to put on your salad? And she didn't even give me a choice. She said, on your salad? What if I want a burger?
Tell you what chicken wings are.
What if I want a chicken wing?
Chicken wing salad.
All right. So here, so here we go. And I'm not even going to respond. Maybe she'll think of something better than a salad. I need a motion to discuss resolutions 203 and 221.
Move it.
Been moved by Commissioner Evans, seconded by?
Second.
Commissioner Hallmark. Any questions or comments regarding those educational partnership organization resolutions? There being no further questions or comments, all those in favor of resolutions 203 to 221 say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Next, I need a motion to discuss resolution 222.
Move.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. That does have to be discussed in executive session, so we'll leave a motion to go into executive session a little bit later. How about resolutions 223 to 243?
So moved.
Been moved by Commissioner Powell, seconded by?
Second.
Commissioner Hallmark. Any questions or comments regarding these human capital initiatives resolutions? There being no questions or comments, all those in favor of resolutions 223 to 243 say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Next, we move on to resolution 244 to 249, additional pay resolutions. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Been moved by Commissioner Hallmark, seconded by?
Second.
Commissioner Evans. Any questions or comments regarding those additional pay resolutions? There being no additional questions or comments, all those in favor of resolutions 244 to 249, say aye.
Aye. Mr. President?
Yes, ma'am.
You're on a roll here, but
Yeah, I know.
it's been a little while since we've had a student at our dais. I just wanted to remind you to include advisory vote.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Going forward from this point.
Thank
Well,
you
with
very
the
much.
exception of the personnel resolutions, I believe.
Well, that's why I waited until
Yep.
now to.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Powell. I see Commissioner Powell is sort of explaining the role here. And for those of you who don't know what she's whispering in her ear, our bylaws require, as they should, that we get an advisory vote from our student rep, so that while it is not a part of the official vote, we at least get an understanding as to what the student advisory representative, the student representative feels about the particular resolution. So thank you, Commissioner Powell, for identifying, reminding me of that. All right, let's move on to resolutions 250 to 251, procurement and supply. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Been moved by Commissioner Cruz, seconded by Commissioner Hallmark. Any questions or comments regarding those procurement and supply resolutions? There being no additional questions or comments, all those in favor of resolution 250? Yes.
Advisory vote.
I was going to do that after I take the vote. Can I?
Oh, it just makes sense that an advisory would become before the.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Commissioner Powell. Let's break this down. What she's saying is, if we go ahead and take the vote, and then we ask for the student advisory comment, what sense does that make? Right? Thank you, Commissioner Powell.
Right.
Absolutely. So we live and learn, day by day, minute by minute. So, student rep, do you have an advisory vote with respect to resolutions 250 to 251? That's why we're going to make sure you have a mentor at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Do you want to just wait for the next meeting so you have a chance to look at the resolutions? Okay, that's fair enough. But thank you, Commissioner Powell. We'll make sure that we include that at our next business meeting. All right, so I need a vote on resolutions 250 to 251.
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner Hallmark, seconded by Commissioner Evans. All those in favor of resolution 250 to 251, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? I need a motion to discuss resolution.
Move those as well, Mr.
Thank you very much. That's resolution 252 to 280, seconded by?
Second.
Commissioner Evans. Any questions or comments regarding those resolutions? There being no further questions or comments, all those in favor of resolution 252 to 280, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? And finally, we have resolutions 281 to 299. Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Commissioner Evans, Seconded by Commissioner Cruz. Any questions or comments regarding the resolutions designated as other?
I did want to make
Yes,
just comments. This has sort of stuck out to me for a while. There's 295, 296, and 297. These are gift acceptances. And I just think that we should name it. Name who gave us the gift and what the amount is. So do you mind if I just read it out?
Please do.
Yeah, well, that used to be Willa's job.
I don't want that job anymore.
Will doesn't want the job anymore, so.
I was like, you know, they don't know we're thanking them, so.
So feel free, Commissioner.
GMR Associates donated $5,000 to be used to support the ACE program at Audubon School number 33. Thank you. The Children's Institute has donated $800 to be used to fund a field trip for the first grade class of School 43. And First Student has donated $1,000 to be used to purchase awards and art supplies for students of number 9 school. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Hallmark, reminding us it's important that we recognize whenever anybody makes a contribution to this community and this school district, it's valued and appreciated. And we'll make sure, bless you, we'll make sure we, all right, Mercedes? Bless you. That concludes the consideration of resolutions. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we did. But I need a vote, according to the clerk, on resolutions 281 to 299. All those in favor of resolutions 281 to 299, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? You have your vote, ma'am. All right, unfinished business from previous meeting, there is none. New business, Commissioner Powell, do we need to discuss anything on the new business in terms of district policy?
This is the time for anyone who has questions about the 3 policies I mentioned in my committee report. It's pretty straightforward stuff, but if folks do have any questions about the prohibition of harassment and discrimination policy, the suspected child abuse policy, or the wellness policy, speak now or hold your peace till next month, not forever.
No comments, concerns?
I'm on the policy committee, so we discussed it.
You good?
Okay,
all right.
Thank you.
All right. We've already discussed speakers on the other agenda item, and it's time to indicate to the community out there that our next board meeting will be October 26th, 2017. I'm sorry, I know I'm gonna make a motion to go into executive session. No, I'm not. Come on now. I'm not that hungry. I just want to let folks know that our next meeting is October 26, 2017 at 6:30 p.m. And if anybody wants to know, have additional information about the Board of Education, please feel free to go to our website, which, by the way, Donald and team, Tom and other folks who, raise your hand, Mercedes, I need y'all to pay attention because this is very important. We had our website just totally, the apple cart was upended, and it's a beautiful thing. If you haven't had a chance to take it, much better. That's Malik's review, and he's trying to get home to eat. Much better. It is much improved, so we appreciate your work, and anybody who wants to take a look at that great work, go to www.rcsdk-12.org. Nice job, Donald and team. Great job. I need a motion to go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter. Is that good enough, Carl? Close?
Appointment of particular individuals.
Well, you got it from Carl.
It's a damn personnel matter. Personnel matter.
Who made the motion?
Move.
Yes.
Commissioner Powell and seconded by Commissioner Evans. You gladiators, if you want to see us adjourn once we come into open session, we're going to adjourn from downstairs in the second floor. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Man, this meeting usually ends at 8:30.